I'm going off the Wi-Fi off in my phone off AT&T to make sure.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, just don't talk too much.
I mean, I wonder, shit.
Type Scott your question. Scott will ask it.
Well, what if I just take the phone and move somewhere else? And
Sounds
just-
good,
That
man.
might work if you have a better
Try it.
spot in the house.
That's what I had to do. I was sitting at the drum set. It was awful. So now I'm outside.
How about
What's that?
Okay,
Talk to us.
I can't get my volume to come on.
Wait,
It's on.
there you are. You just
I hear you loud.
we hear you.
Now is that better?
Well, you got to talk. We got to talk for a little bit, and we'll see.
Sounds better.
I'm just waiting for us to go live on Facebook because Mark's having some issues with his dog, so he set it up to go automatically live. So it should be going live like any second, but
Yeah, it
So
should
make
be.
sure you zip up fast, just in case, right?
zip up, baby.
Yep.
And I have to leave like right after our show because I'm going out to dinner. All right, well, we are live. We're live on YouTube. I just got the notification. So hello to everybody on YouTube. We are live. We've got a fun show tonight for sure. We're just waiting for the Facebook to go live and we'll start this shindig.
Yay.
Here we go. Good show tonight. I know this was going to be fun.
Oh,
man.
he's so.
All right, you guys.
So
We
fun.
are live on all
Yep.
Channels?
platforms. I'm going to go ahead and start the show. You guys ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Is that better?
Ready.
I don't know. We'll tell you in a second. Hang on.
The Rock and Talk Show, Beyond Backstage, with your hosts, Norwood Fisher, Kenny Olson, Scott Page, Stephen Perkins, Sheila Conlon, and David Moss.
And welcome to the Rock and Talk Show. This is show number 80, the bi-monthly show that dives deep into the entertainment industry, the business of it, the culture, the stories, and everything in between. I am the Moss Man. Let me quickly introduce my amazing co-hosts. We've got the lovely Sheila Conlon of the Conlon Company over here.
Lovely. Lovely.
We've got Stephen Perkins back in the USA. Bruno for Pyros and Jane's Addiction. We got Scotty Page from Pink Floyd, Toto Supertramp, and last but not least, Kenny Olson, the Twisted Brown Trucker Band, Kid Rock, Experience Hendrix. And our brother Norwood Fisher is going to pop in at some point during the show, but he's in Charlotte right now with Fishbone and George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic having the tour of a lifetime right now.
Oh boy, good for him, man. I bet that's
Certainly is.
funky.
How we
Yeah,
doing?
crazy.
Good.
Oh, I have some very important news. Very
Oh.
important.
Oh, oh.
Happy birthday, David Moss. Happy birthday, David Moss.
Yeah,
Thank
let's
you,
go.
guys.
I think Scotty's gonna go get the little.
Here we go. Let's do it.
You know,
Here
the
we
truth
go.
is you're going to grow old and wise every hour, but it's a great to
Right.
see you 59
Right.
and you're a granddad and you're great at it.
Well, thank you, guys. Scotty,
Hold
you're
on,
up.
hold on. It's only right. It's that time of the year.
It is.
It is. Hold on.
Here
Ladies
we
and
go.
gentlemen, it's a very special day here on the Rock and Talk Show. The crowd roars. Believe it or not, it's our brother, Mr. David Moss's birthday. So it's only right that we all, and all you out there, sing along. You ready? Here we go. Here we go. That's the note.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Scotty, Oh, thank you, Scotty. I'm
That
sure
had a
that
lot-
sounded amazing.
That had a lot of heart in it.
That
Yeah.
had nothing but
It
heart
looked
and
good. It
soul.
looked good. It looked good.
Was it really loud? Was it overdriven? Because I'm set up with the mic.
It was so loud. We just couldn't hear
Well, see,
it.
that
It was
I
like a
think-
dog whistle. It was like
Yeah,
a
it
dog
was-
whistle is what it
It's
sounded like.
No, but
It was my
it was
Hendrix
like
sound, man. I was
it
in
was- that was
overdrive.
like Pootie
That was
Tang.
like okay. Look, Scott Page. That was like a Fellini movie.
I
It
know.
was so.
Yeah, look at it.
It was crazy,
Ripped up
man.
shirt.
Crazy.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. Hey, I love you guys. I really do. And I'm just
Yeah, we love
blessed
you,
Yeah.
brother.
that I made it to 59 years old. And I'm just so happy to have all of you in my life. It means
I want to
a
have
lot
as
to me.
much energy as you when I get your age. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, I hope you do, Scotty. I hope you do.
And you know what?
Me
We
too.
hope you get some tonight.
Oh,
Cake and ice cream, that is.
It's cake and ice cream. Come on.
oh gosh. All right.
It's a
So,
family show.
you know what? We haven't done a show in a whole month, and the last show we did was really a knockout. It got deep, and it was about business, and it was about heart, and you know, I felt touched really in my heart after the show, having that experience with Art, who was just a great guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still wondering, you know, the depth of like how musicians somehow meet each other on this planet, and we kind of bump into each other year after year, or maybe decade later, who knows, but we have an effect on each other. So what a great show that was. And
Yeah.
Art, you know, it's a ripple. His songwriting and his personality, it ripples right across everything. So
Yeah. In his
That-
new track,
Yeah.
in his new live, that live show from the Whiskey is killer. The band.
No, that has so much vibe to it.
Look who's here. Look who's here.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Brother Norwood.
Norwood.
fish.
Yes, so Art Alexaxis, a big thank you. Tim Devine, a great big thank you. And
Yes.
wow, Peter Case.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that version of that song he did was amazing. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Norwood.
I would.
What up, Wood? Look at you. You look like you've been drinking. Have you been hibernating or anything?
Well, hell no, I just got off the stage. Charlotte.
Right
Charlotte.
on.
That's it.
Or was it?
It was amazing, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
A blistering 1 hour fishbone set to warm up the stage for George Clinton again.
My God.
Wow.
Dang.
That's so awesome, dude. We're so happy for you that
I'm
you're
such
out
a-
living the dream, living your
It's a
best
dream.
life.
It's
Yeah.
a dream.
Yeah, man. I'm like, yeah, it's my life is a beautiful full circle moment that's every day. This my summer vacation.
Unreal.
You look like a little leprechaun there.
You know, I got some 4-leaf clovers up my ass.
The torch has been handed to you, Norwood, and you've been the guiding light with it. That's just awesome.
Unreal.
Oh my
no
God.
one deserves it. No one deserves the party more than you guys, and you bring the party to people. And what a great job. I had to go through TSA, and I was thinking everybody hates these people, and it's a terrible job because no one wants to see you. And we have the opposite job. People are running to see the show because we make them feel good. And I feel bad for
Yeah.
TSA, so I love you guys. I want to play for you. Thank you for keeping us safe.
You know what?
You can
That's
get tickets.
100%.
I'll send you to where to buy tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the days when there was no TSA, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
People hijacked planes in the 70s and oops, somebody
Yeah.
took the wire.
Yeah. I remember going to Burbank and you could get there like 45 minutes before your flight and run to the gate, like right up to the second, no problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of planes,
But,
I remember
We're
when
all-
there was
we're
ashtrays
all-
on the plane.
we're all going to be going on a plane together here really soon up to my favorite place in the world, Humboldt County, for
Yeah, baby.
Canifest 2023. Think
Unreal.
X
Oh, yeah.
is going to be one of the featured acts at Canifest this year. It's pretty exciting. I can't wait.
It's like another
Unbelievable.
Budapest trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be, I mean, just to quickly talk about it, besides Scott, Kenny, Norwood, and Perkins, there's going to be our lovely Roberta Freeman, who toured with Pink Floyd as well, and Guns N' Roses and a million others. Derek Day. Derek Day is going to be the art bird. Derek Day is going to be up there, and Will Champlin is going to be up there with us.
We got
so
the whole A team. That's good.
A lot of talent. It's a lot of talent.
Humboldt County, get ready because this is going to rock your world for sure.
Yeah, the A team, like Scott said, is coming.
Yeah,
And
it's
you know,
good.
they say, you know, the
band?
we only have to drug test the day before, so it's good.
Yeah.
Scott,
Yeah, you have to
Scott,
test
you're gonna be
positive in order to land in Humboldt County.
Hey, if you want to get paid, you got to test positive.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah.
No.
you got to be Mr. T in the A team, and we got to bring back your old haircut.
Oh, the mullet, man.
The mullet.
Yeah.
Oh my
We
God.
got to bring
They're
back
back.
the El Camino.
People are all saying, dude, you need to grow your bucket. It's coming back. It's coming back. I said, no, man, I ain't doing that. When I cut that sucker off, wash my hair in the shower, in and out, 5 minutes, life's good.
We had
So before we bring in our guests, just really quickly, I know, Stephen, you've been in Italy and France and with Fabrizio.
That's
and
right.
Kenny, you had a golf tournament. Norwood,
Well,
we know
that's
where
coming
you
up.
are
That's
right now.
coming up on
It's coming
August
up.
19th.
All right. So just talk a little bit about that and then we'll bring in our guests.
Go, Kenny. What do you got?
No, we're the golf outing for Hallie's Hearts, my little cousin. It's Hallie's Hearts is the endowment that she wanted to have started when she died of ovarian cancer when she was 45 years old only. And this is my 7th annual golf outing that we're doing up here in northern Michigan at Elmbrook Golf Course in Traverse City. And it's going to be a blast. And if anybody wants to surprise guest and show up, it'd be awesome.
That's a cool thing, man.
August 19th, I'll be doing a concert afterwards with a bunch of special guests.
Nice.
very cool. And Perk, you were in Italy and France, and
That's right. The great Kenny Aronoff, one of my favorite drummers and persons on earth, couldn't do a show, so he asked me to kind of fill in for him. And the band's called the Supersonic Blues Machine, and we did a show with the Blues Festival outside Oslo and a blues festival in the French Alps, and it was just an incredible experience. We rehearsed in Verona, Italy for 3 days.
Ooh.
And I want to thank Fabrizio and Kenny Aronoff for including me on the party. And 18 blues songs.
wow.
And it was a great challenge and a great honor to be the guy holding the backbeat for that, the whole thing. So I'm home safely with some good memories, and I'm swinging harder than ever, guys. So
Good. We're going
I'm
to play
ready
some
have
shuffles.
it.
We're going to play some
I got the
shuffles coming up
shuffle.
here. We're going to play some shuffles, man.
I
I
got
love
the
it.
shuffle.
Kenny, why don't you introduce our guest since you
Wait,
probably
can I-
know?
Wait, y'all need to drop just one really quick thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because a few months ago, I went to Maui and I produced an album by a band called the Lamonts, which is not complete yet. I talked to their bassist, Iden. He lost everything in the fire.
No.
Oh, man.
Maybe the band lost everything. There was a band member of the Lamonts that had not been heard from yet.
Oh, no.
And they didn't know if the studio equipment was all gone. And but the brother had his life, he had his wife, he had his dog, and he was like, I'm good. And just, I just came on late, and if no one spoke on it, peace to everybody on the island of Maui.
Yes.
And like, I'm speaking because I got friends that people I love there beyond the Lamonts. And, I just want to say peace to those people, and the goodwill is coming. Yeah. And I'm going to do my part. So
Yes, if you need to do anything or send any money or anything, let us know.
That's the second one I've heard. Ruby Mazar, who designed the Rolling Stones lips, the artist. he just built his gallery, was just up and lost his gallery, all his paintings, everything's gone.
I mean, the whole freaking
gone.
town is
Everything's
gone.
gone.
It's just gone.
I know my friend who owns Fleetwood Mac's restaurant, gone.
That's right. They're gone. That's
Yep.
gone too.
Yeah.
Fleetwood. Yep.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
our hearts are
pray for
going
those
out to
people.
the
We
people
pray
of
for-
Maui
Yeah.
and
Prayers,
really
man.
all the people around the world that are suffering in any way, shape, or form. I mean, honestly,
Of course.
it'd be nice to just all come together, as the Beatles said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, with that-
Kenny,
For the
go ahead.
world.
Why don't you introduce our guest, Kenny?
Well, it's a great pleasure. A true rock and roll OG, amazing singer, amazing songwriter, guitar player, and an old friend, and it's my honor to present John Corabi.
John Corabi, welcome to the Rock and Talk Show. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm just hanging out in my backyard. It's a little more light out here, and it's just awesome.
How's the peanut butter? You guys got peanut butter
I
out
was gonna say,
there?
how was that peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
I knocked that out twice. At my age, it don't take much.
Hey, John, do you like to cook? Are you in the kitchen a lot? Do you cook or you just eat, or both?
I experiment with flame once in a while.
Yeah. Isn't it great to make something and taste it afterwards? It's kind of like a song.
Yes. Well, I think anything that you create is awesome as you're going. It's like, you get the original idea, and then as it's step by step, you add this, you add that, whatever.
Yeah.
Whether it's cooking or writing music, and then you can see it develop and turn into something. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So,
That's the way. There's a true art to it, like that, with those right ingredients.
Where are you? What part of the country are you currently residing?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nice.
Born and raised in Philly. Is that too loud?
No, you sound good.
Very good.
Okay. I live in a box at the end of the runway of the Nashville airport, so it might tend to be loud a little bit. But no, born and raised in Philly. I moved to LA in '85. Kind of got tired of the traffic and some of the women that I was pursuing, and I decided to get the hell out of Dodge and move to Nashville. So,
But you want to know something funny? Is you bringing that up and going down memory lane, and Sheila too, and you and Sheila know each other through the years, but the small world. When I was living in LA in late 80s, early 90s, and you were in Scream then.
yes.
Right. And I remember, I think we opened up for you one night, and I remember I saw you play, and I was like, me and Newt, one of my band members, were just like, man, that bad dude is badass. And I remember that day we were over at Audible Sound rehearsing next to the Mötley Crüe and Motorhead. And all of a sudden, and with all the stuff was going down, and here all of a sudden, there you were. And that was the first time I actually met you.
You know what's funny about I think it was Audible where I had my audition.
Yeah, I was there that day.
And it was hilarious. Because it's odd that they actually had bands in there when we were rehearsing.
Yeah.
Because they eventually the owner of the property, I was sitting outside having a cigarette, and I was talking to the guy, and he goes, yeah, man, we have to literally close down all the other studios in the building when you guys come in, because nobody can hear themselves. Like, you guys are so loud, nobody else can hear themselves. But they also had a photo developing place about 3 or 4 doors down that used to enlarge photos. So they would, put back in the day, this is film, but they would put the film in the trays and develop it and then do the enlargements. And they were coming out blurry, and they couldn't figure out why, but the water was shaking like this. Yeah, it was crazy.
What was funny is, like, because I think that show that we played, Sheila booked it, and we were I think it was at the Whiskey.
Yeah.
And like a week prior to you coming over there and audition playing with them, And we were rehearsing next to Mötley Crüe and Motorhead, and they were playing so loud that my old '69 Marshall had vibrated off the cabinet. And their guitar tech, who's from Detroit, I borrowed a Soldano and another Marshall to play that show that I think was with you guys that Sheila booked at the Whiskey. And then it was like literally like 2 weeks later, here you are at Audible Sound, and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, it was funny. They told me, hey, you're the new singer, don't tell anybody. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, great, but I'm showing up every day to like Audible, Studio D. There was another place called Studio D in Burbank. And you know, all these other bands are in there, like Bang Tango, you know,
Yeah.
Fast Pussycat. And they're all like, oh, hey, dude, oh, you're the new singer in Mötley. And I'm like, I can't really say anything, but I'm literally going into the room. It was the dumbest thing, man. It was weird. But
Motorhead used to rehearse there too. We used to rehearse in the small room. There's an ABC, and we were just a bunch of guys from Detroit out in LA living, and we were in the C room. So we got all those vibrations knocking shit over.
yeah,
I read some Pete Townsend. They asked Pete back in the '60s, why do you play so loud? He goes, when you see the Who, you're not here to fucking talk to girls. You're not here to meet your friends. You're here to see the Who, and that's what you're gonna hear. And I just thought it's an assault more than just the visual and the songwriting and the presence of the chemistry on stage, the sonic assault, because music you can't hold, it goes right through you. Even when you sell it, you got to press play to hear it. So it comes alive, and it's a vibration, it's a wave. And you know, you've played with some great drummers. I mean, you know, obviously through the years. And I was in Methods of Mayhem where me and Tommy did double drummer. And there was something about the hammer and nail of his style.
Yeah.
I'm a typewriter, but he's like a typewriter from the '60s. I'm like more of a electric typewriter. You know, it's just bam, 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 bam. But when someone plays like that, you know, growing up, I wanted to play jazz with brushes and an upright bass player, control the volume. But, you know, no one did that. Everyone plugged in. So the drummer's got to understand how to work with these amplifying instruments. And Tommy Lee, you know, is the top of the pyramid. And it must have felt good to shake your ass to that nightly.
no, dude,
Yeah.
it was interesting. I used to just well, first of all, I don't know if you know this or not, or even remember, but I think I met you one time because I actually auditioned for Methods of Mayhem on guitar.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I came down and but you got what was his name? Not John Five. You got
Well, they had a guy named Kai. Kai came out from up Vancouver or something, but the guy that was, I think, who was someone X, right?
yeah, it was weird. It was like a number or just a letter.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh, hey, dude, whatever. But
Hey, I'm 4. Nice to meet you guys.
yeah, it was funny. I walked in and I was like, I didn't have a ton of pedals. I just learned the stuff and, you know, whatever. I wasn't like pedal guy or whatever. But
yeah.
Tommy just called and goes, yeah, dude, just bring your guitar, bro. Come on down and, you know, we'll see what happens. But you guys obviously went in a different direction. And yeah, playing with Tommy though, dude, he was like, but you know, the thing that I realized, and I tell, like, my son is a drummer as well now. He plays in my solo band, and he's gotten very used to and good at playing with a click.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, he was like, man, I love these guys that can play with a click and they have a groove. And I said, but Tommy used to cheat though a little bit, because Tommy would build. I remember doing the Mötley record, and he would literally have like the down, he would have shakers going, like he would build like this whole percussive track, and he would just play with it. And I'm like, you know, even the straightest beat still had some sort of stank on it. You know what I mean? It was
big swing. Yeah, he's like a guy, he's like Tarzan. He lets go of one vine, he flies through the air into the last moment, and he grabs the other vine. That's what his drum beats are like. They're like,
yeah,
there's so much room between all the strikes. And you know, you talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, even the word one it's got 3 letters, and you can as a drummer think about the beginning of the word one or the end of the word with the letter E. And he's like at the very tail end of the E. He's like, what? You know?
Yep.
So that's cool, man. I mean, you know, drummers, we love, I like drummers.
You know, the part about Tommy is he's so reserved too. He's such a reserved guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's great. I was in Moscow.
Stays out of trouble, you know.
I was in Moscow with those guys. We did the Moscow Music Peace Festival, and it was Mötley and all of those guys. And I hung out with those guys quite a bit. Tommy's, he's a great guy. We both have the same birthday, so that's how we kind of hit it. Oh, wow. 7-11, yeah.
That's cool.
Little hard to talk to. He's, you know, not kind of shy and introverted.
Very shy.
Yeah. So John, just give us how did you get into this business? I mean, were you like just woke up one day when you were a child and said, I'm born to sing? Like it was just your calling?
No, you know what? Honestly, I think I gotta. Anybody my age is probably going to give you the exact same answer. And it was like at some point in the 60s, I saw like, and it was weird because I came into them late. I kind of came into them towards the end of the career, but there was a TV show in Philadelphia, obviously the Ed Sullivan Show. And they did this kind of like career retrospect on the Beatles. And they showed their first visit to New York. Then they showed them kind of like middle of the career, like doing like, it was either Ticket to Ride or Hello Goodbye.
Right.
And then they showed them doing Hey Jude. And then they showed them doing like Let It Be. It was like whatever. And I just sat there. I have no idea why. There's no musicians in my family at all. But I literally just sat there and was like, holy shit, what did I just see right now? Like, and I was obsessed with it at that point.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It was, you know, my parents, I never even asked them, but I think they tried to cover 2 spectrums, hoping that I would go in the other spectrum, but whatever.
They all do.
They bought me for Christmas. They bought me a Sears Silvertone acoustic guitar.
Sears
Silvertone acoustic guitar.
Absolutely.
And a microscope.
Dan Electro.
And a microscope.
And I never opened the microscope. I just went right to the guitar and tortured them for the rest of my life.
Yeah, mine was a guitar and an erector set. But I didn't touch it.
At what age? I mean, you have one of those like iconic rock and roll voices that's just like as rock and roll as it gets. And what age did you realize you actually had that kind of voice and could sing like that?
Yeah, you know what? It's weird, like because I don't even leave messages on my own answering machines. I can't listen to my own voice. It's weird. Every now and then I'll go, oh well, that was kind of cool. I'll do, you know, but I'm still in awe of people like McCartney. When I hear Maybe I'm Amazed or Oh Darling, if I hear, you know, Robert Plant, anything on the first 2 or 3 records, Steven Tyler to this day still amazes me. Yeah. And I don't even think that I'm in any sort of remotely close league to those guys. So
I mean, you are, dude. Like, you are. You have one of those. You have that voice. It's not. I wouldn't compare it to Paul McCartney. But
I've got to hear your, like when you were. I think it was like right after we did that thing with you were playing with Rat. We did that gig in Nashville together, and you were doing Dead Daisy stuff. And Anthony, you know, Fox and Marty were working on a bunch of stuff, and I got to listen to some of your like tracks, just like, you know, just being the fly on the wall buddy hanging out, and it was just amazing. And when you're talking about like the Beatles and all this stuff, how I was just so impressed with like how you were layered, like the parts, the beauty and the simplicity too, but then your melodies, because you play like me and you as a guitar player, for more of those guys who play to the song too. On top of that, so we were doing vocally, it was just blowing my mind how I heard it, and I was just like, shoot. It was really cool.
Well,
Dead Daisy.
it- you know, I don't know. It's weird though. Like, you know, I listen to other singers and I just don't feel like there's, I don't know. It's just weird. I'm like insanely critical of myself though. I don't really feel like I'm, you know,
That's
Well, you
Yeah,
have a
you know-
beautiful voice, but here's one thing. We're starting not to be able to see you because I think it's getting dark out there.
I was wondering if I was starting to wonder if I was beginning to black out myself. Or if it's just,
no.
There he is. There you are. You're back. Perfect.
oh, that's beautiful. Much better.
Stepping into my
Actually,
white-
go back into the dark. Go back into the dark.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You look like that. No, I'm in my wife's hair salon now, so it's all good.
That's cool.
You would
Also,
know
you got a guitar, you got the Sears guitar at a young age, and then did you start singing right away, or did that come later, or
It took a minute because I was getting. So I went to Catholic school. You can see how that paid off for my parents. And
so did this guy, right?
yeah, so I was going to Catholic school, and they offered music lessons for like $1.50 a week or whatever it was. And so I signed up. I'm like, oh, I've got my guitar. I'm ready to go. And it was just like, you know, they were teaching me stuff like Michael row the boat ashore, Kumbaya, like, you know, row your boat. I'm like, this fucking blows. And then, you know, and the nun, it's because I wrote a book and it's in there. I call her Sister Charles Bronson because she was just constantly slapping me on the back of my fucking lower back because I was like hunched forward and I wasn't doing this right and I wasn't doing that right. And I'm sitting there thinking about it and I'm like, you know, she doesn't even play guitar. She plays fucking piano and she's telling me how to properly whatever. So I just put it in a closet and I said, fuck it. And this girl across the street from me, I'll never forget, Lori Miller got a guitar maybe a year after I did. And all of a sudden, she starts playing shit like Scarborough Affair by Simon and Garfunkel. And she's playing like all these great tunes. And I'm going, wait, okay. Then I got pissed. And my mom talked to her mom and found out that she was getting lessons at this other place. And I worked out a deal with my mom. I said, I'll do anything you want for the rest of my life. Just get me lessons. And they took me up to this place and the guy just literally corrected everything the nun told me to do. We undid, he redid it. And then he said, who's your favorite band? I said, the Beatles. And he just started dumping Beatles shit on me. And I was off to the races at that point.
Wow.
And then who was your, like, would you say the biggest influences, like after the Beatles and stuff, just from a guitar player point of view, where did you go from there, from listening to and stuff? Who was it?
Well, it was weird. My mom had like this extensive radio collection. So I was listening all day long. She didn't play anything, but I was listening all day long to country music, like everything. Johnny Cash, Glenn Campbell, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings. But she also had stuff like the Raspberries. She was playing stuff like Sinatra. So there was always music going on, and I was always obsessed with different things. Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, and so I had that. But I think once I turned, 13, 14 years old, I think the next biggest influence on me, I used to be really into Kiss, but then somebody turned me on to Led Zeppelin and the Get Your Wings Aerosmith record. And I was like, forget it. I don't want to know anything else. I'm golden. Yeah.
I love that you say that. The first two concerts that I ever saw in my life were the first concert. It was like I was 12, 13 years old, and it was Kiss at the Forum in 1977 with Cheap Trick opening up. And the second concert I saw was Aerosmith at the Forum a little bit like a month or two after that. And, you know, changed my life pretty much forever too. Right.
So my first two shows, and my biggest regret in life, there's two bands. I pretty much saw every band that I ever wanted to see. I never saw Bowie back in the Ziggy Stardust, you know, that era. But the two bands that I always wanted to see, and for some weird reason, something would come up and I never got to see them, was Led Zeppelin. I had tickets to see them twice.
Me too.
And the first time Robert Plant's son died, and then the second one, Bonham died.
Same with me in Detroit. That would have.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I believe my ex-wife still has the tickets.
So
My
The
first time I had to, my parents told me I couldn't go. So I jumped out the window and tried to make it to the concert, but I didn't make it.
What, for
Zeppelin?
So that's what happened.
Zeppelin. Yeah.
And the other band that I never got to see was Grand Funk Railroad, the original lineup. I'm
oh,
like,
wow. Yeah.
But my first two shows, I'm going way back. My first show was at the Philadelphia Convention Center, was Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Smoking in the boys' room.
No. You ain't seen nothing yet. And what? Ride.
Oh yeah.
And then the opening band. This will be a trivia question for somebody here. Stephen or Kenny might know this band. They were a band from Atlanta. They had one hit, and they were the special guests on the show, and they were called Wet Willie.
That's right.
Do you guys remember them?
Yeah.
Keep on smiling, baby. And then the third
The
act,
best band name ever.
that I had no idea who the guy was. And I'm like, who's this guy? He's pretty good. A guy named, what was his name? Oh yeah, Bob Seger.
That's cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know, I never got to see Led Zeppelin either, and I never saw Robert Plant until like my son was like 20 years old, and Robert Plant was playing at the Shrine Auditorium, and like the day of the show, I got tickets to go see Robert Plant with my son, and we're standing there, and I'll make the long story short, but our tickets were in the 10th row. In the intermission, we walked down into the pit. Nobody stopped us. We didn't, whatever. We're standing in the pit. Robert Plant comes out. I'm still standing there. Security guard comes up to me like 4 songs in and literally starts pushing me out. And I got thrown out of my very first, I got kicked out of the Shrine Auditorium because I was standing in the pit without a pit wristband and they wouldn't hear a word I had to say, and literally got thrown out of the show. That was my first Robert Plant experience.
Yeah, that was, I actually, it was crazy. And this is another Tommy Lee introverted story. When we were doing the Mötley record in Vancouver, Robert played a theater in Vancouver. And so Tommy comes to me and he goes, "Hey, Crab, Robert Plant's playing tonight. Do you want to go see him?" And I go, yeah, let's go. So we go to the show. Stephen, do you remember Michael Lee?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh,
What
man.
a drummer, right?
Yeah.
And so somehow Tommy got backstage passes. We go backstage and
Somehow.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's the introverted part of Tommy. So we get backstage. Michael Lee comes right over. He's like, "Oh, I'm a fan of Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee's a fan of Michael Lee." Blah, blah, blah. And then they make a long story even longer. They say, "Oh, Robert likes to go to like pubs and jam after the show." So we're going to this little English pub or Irish pub or something in Vancouver. So we go to this place. Everybody knew about it. And we wound up sitting at this booth And Robert Plant walked in with this incredibly gorgeous, like, I don't know, Indian, Indonesian, just some exotic looking woman. He's paying zero attention to anybody at the table. He's just totally focused on her. And then they go up and they jam. So Michael leans forward and he says to Robert, hey, we got some friends over here, you know, maybe they'll come up and jam with us. And I totally put my foot in my mouth. And so Robert goes, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we have some, wait, who are they? Oh, yeah. Some Mötley Crües are in the audience, and you know, why don't you come up, lads, and jam with us? Blah blah blah. So Tommy's like, "You want to jam?" I go, "Yeah." So I stand up. He stands up. I start walking to the stage. I get on stage. The guitar player hands me his guitar. I turn around. Tommy's got his hand over his mouth, and he's pointing at me like, "Ah, you idiot!" Blah blah. And I'm like this. And Robert's standing right here, and he goes. I'm like, now I'm panicked because I'm not a blues like encyclopedia guy like he is. And he goes, do you know any blues stuff? And I go, I know the Lemon song. And he goes, but his whole face, he's like, hey, do you know any blues stuff? I go, I know the Lemon song. He goes, start it. And he walked off stage, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So I went up doing Tush by ZZ Top because I started the riff, and nobody, they're like, nah, we're not playing that. Robert doesn't want to hear that.
Oh my God.
I'm like, great. And I just went back to the table, and it was like, if he was ignoring me before, he was totally ignoring me.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
And then did the hot girl ignore you too?
Yeah,
There you go, Sheila.
She's with Robert Plant.
Yeah,
Come
she's
on.
with Robert Plant, and it's like wallet for wallet. He's got me beat.
He's got you beat. Right.
Let's talk about the Dead Daisies and what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember when the first record came out with John, I was like rocking stuff. And how'd you pop into how'd that sort of opportunity? You played with like so many great bands. It's like, it's crazy.
I know.
It was weird. I was actually already on tour with my solo band, and got home. I'm literally just pulling into my driveway, and I got a phone call from Marco Mendoza.
Oh, Marco.
And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen. Why is Marco calling me? I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. So I answered the phone, and he just started telling me about this band. They had a singer. There was an issue. I don't know what the issue was, you know, and they needed a singer. And I said, well, I'm kind of, you know, I'm cool, whatever. He goes, no, just come to LA, meet everybody. So I talked to the manager. They flew me out to LA. I had dinner with the guys. I knew most of them because at the time it was Brian Tishy, Mark, Dizzy Reed. And then the only two guys I didn't know was the guitar player, David Lowy, and Richard Fortis. I wasn't real familiar with Richard.
Yes.
So we went out, we had dinner, and then they started playing me some stuff and told me that they wanted me to go to Cuba with them. And I go, okay, I've never been there. I'm kind of a history geek. So yeah, I'd love to go. And then shortly after, they asked me if I wanted to stay and do a record, you know, so I was in for 4 years, something like that, from 15 to December 31st of 2018. So,
amazing.
Yeah. And we did.
You've been working with Marty recently on some new stuff too, with like some new releases, right?
Yeah, I've got a few songs stockpiled. You know, it's funny, the COVID thing.
COVID thing.
Yeah,
that thing.
COVID thing.
That little damn COVID thing.
Well, you know what? It pulled the rug out from under everybody for playing, going into a studio with your friends. and I was kind of panicked. And it's so weird. I'm a little leery now about phones and computers, but I just sat there and I just said to my wife, I go, God, I'm such a fucking idiot. If I could have been so much smarter, I could have been so much ahead of this thing if I would have just paid attention and learned how to use Pro Tools back when we were doing that Mötley stuff. And I put my phone down, picked it back up like 5 minutes later. I was like, hey, learn how to use Pro Tools on Instagram. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I called the number and I took classes and I started recording myself at my house.
Awesome.
And I just worked out a deal with Marty. I said, hey, dude, like, you know, I don't know how much you want or whatever, but like, I'd love to finish these songs. I'll record them at my house. I send him the files and then he just does what he does to make it sound like I knew what I was doing.
I mean, no, because you've played me a lot. Your solo stuff's badass, and the arrangements and everything are great. I mean, it's
Thank you.
Cosi Bella, is that how I say it? Cosi Bella?
Yeah, you know what's funny? If you listen to the chorus on that song, it just says, she's so beautiful. And it's kind of a little tongue and twist thing. And I did the whole song at my house. I actually did the piano, and that's the beauty about Pro Tools. You don't even have to know how to play, like really play anything. So I literally just went, It's like I just kind of, and then I just put the chords together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I recorded the whole thing. I sang it. I did all the guitars. And then I sent it to Marty. I played all the instruments. I programmed the drums, sent it to Marty. We had Marty's son redo the drums. And then he's like, all right, you want to put it out? And I said, yeah, man, but I don't want to. It just seems so lame, the title being so beautiful. And I'm like, ugh. So I went on to one of those translation apps. And I just started typing in "so beautiful" in other languages. And oddly enough, Così Bella is Italian.
Yes.
I love it. Well, we have a little short clip of you performing that. And if you're cool, we'll throw it up there right now.
Sure.
Do it.
I could make I could stand to make another 4 cents. Be awesome.
There you go. We're not going to play it long enough to get the credit. Sorry.
Here's a little song about a woman I know. Don't need a lot, but you better give your all. She got a gleam in her eyes, as bright as the sun, and everybody knows that she's the one. Now you're caught in a wake, you're tripping on the clues. She gives you a smile, you got nothing to lose. You feel like you're sinking, but just overthinking. You're wasting the time.
Yeah, there it is on the Rock and Talk Show.
You made it, man. You made it. We put you on. You're look at the whole world seeing it right now.
John, do you know that the history of Scott Page? Do you know anything about Big Scott Page above you here?
What now?
Do you know any of the history of Scott Page, this fantastic man that's
fantastic
with
man.
us?
No, but I have a feeling you're going to give it to me.
Well, you mentioned Ed Sullivan. Scott, what show were you on annually?
So my father was on a television show for 14 years as a musician on the Lawrence Welk Show. So I grew up on Lawrence Welk, and what he's talking about is as a little kid, I used to do the Lawrence Welk Show. Actually, one time I water skied. My dad, both of us water skied. He played 2 clarinets. I played my trumpet, and we water skied. We played By the Sea on the Lawrence Welk Show. So there
awesome.
And then he moved on to, he's the only guy that can say what, Scott, that you.
Oh yeah, I'm the only guy that actually has played in Pink Floyd and Lawrence Welk. Now, but I will say that the Venice guys have been working with Roger Waters, which is the Lennon sisters.
Yeah.
Great guys
Yeah,
too. Unbelievable.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
them really well. Yeah.
So we have a little alumni, just us little Floydian.
Yeah.
But
That's
but yes, and that song though, what is the meaning of that song? Is it about someone special or like what?
No, I just, it was, I was just, it's funny. A lot of times I do write about things that are personal to me, but I also see other people going through things and I somehow just translated it. I don't want to mention any names, but it was a buddy that I know that has, he does these things where it's like he dates these very, very young, beautiful girls and then tortures them mentally where they go, I fucking hate you, I'm out. And then he regrets it later, kind of a deal, whatever. So I was just like,
That's
Well,
so funny, bunch of people we know.
But
We don't know each other, right?
Wait, you
I
know what?
listened to I
the
listened to
reason
the song all the way through, earlier today, and was really, really digging it. I listened to it a few times, and like when Perkins, we were talking earlier about the ingredients and the art of the song, and even after we're the cutoff, I think people should really listen to the song all the way through because it's just a great song. But you had a lot of those elements talking about, like even like the early Beatles. There's some great arrangement stuff that's about to just really happen, like that bridge in that song and the solo afterwards. It's like, and the vocal parts in there just done really well.
And honestly, I have to tell you, like, the thing that I fucking hate about, like, as musicians, we kind of tend to get pigeonholed into a certain style of music. And, one of my two favorite songs ever is by the Beatles, Penny Lane. I've always thought the bass on it, that what's happening in the song, within the song, is just genius. And then the other song that I've always loved, it was my first introduction to Queen, was that She Keeps Blowing It Down. And I just, that's the same thing. So I go, you know what? I want to write. I actually intentionally sat down to write kind of a little heavier, like Queen pop song.
Yeah.
And I did it. Now it's like, it's off my bucket list and it's done, whatever. But the funny thing is everybody goes, wow, not what I would have expected from you. I'm like, I don't know how you can say that. I've been saying I'm a Beatles fan since I was 7.
Yeah.
60, almost 60 freaking years. Give me a break.
Right.
Well, I mean, I've seen, like when you've had to, like, when you go, someone goes and plays acoustically and singing, and I've seen you strip down too, where you've really, brought a lot of different elements just by yourself, and you get it, how to make that sound full, whether how big the band is. So,
and you'll get a kick out of this. One of the guys that I always looked up to told me very, very early on when I was doing the Scream record, actually, I had the very good fortune of meeting Steve Marriott.
Oh, my favorite. Yeah.
He sat down and he heard, because we were working with Eddie Kramer, and he was working with them. Him and Peter were putting Humble Pie back together again, and it was like 1990. And they were coming into our room, they heard our stuff, and like I did, we had a song on the record called Father, Mother, Son. And Steve heard it, and we were just sitting there bullshitting with it, and I played him part of the song. He was like, oh, what was that Father, Mother song? So I played it for him, and he said, you know what? That's a good song, dude. He goes, if you can sit here and play it for me with nothing else, and I can sit here and hear, and I know it's a good song. If you can do that, if you can entertain people with just a guitar and nothing else, then it's a good song.
That's
So
good. Awesome. Well, let's go back to.
Wait. That's why I picked drums.
That's a good one. Let's go back to the Dead Daisy. So, like, are you guys going out? Are you guys working on music? What are you doing now?
Right now, they have a it's
Because you left for a while, right?
Yeah, I left. Glenn Hughes came in and he was singing with him they did a couple records and tours. Glenn went back to doing his Deep Purple thing and he's doing a Black Country Communion record. So they called me up, asked me to come back, and so what they were doing prior to me coming back was they kind of did a 10-year marker. The band's been around now for 10 years. So they did a best of. It's like, here's what we've done so far. There's more to come. But right now we're just we're gearing up for a tour. We start August 22nd in this town called, I wasn't sure, I'm from Philadelphia, and I never knew if this town was called Lidditz or Lidditz. Not sure. But it is right next to Blue Ball in Intercourse, Pennsylvania. So you look that up. I am not lying. Anyway, so we start our tour August 22nd in Lidditz, and then we go up through Canada, down the West Coast, and then we're off to Japan and Europe. And yeah,
Wow.
so
Awesome. You're gonna come through LA, you think?
yes, we're actually in Los Angeles at the Roxy September 10th.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna
We're
be
gonna
up
be in
there.
Humboldt.
Free ticket.
Yeah, we're going to
Yay,
Humboldt.
free ticket.
No, we're gonna be up in Humboldt, Scotty.
Oh, we're
Man.
Oh,
Is that the day?
Hey, we're
Wait,
doing
now,
shit-
real
we're
quickly,
doing shit up
John.
north, Mr. Excuse.
Yeah, John, I've known Brian Tichy for 25 years. As a drummer, he's unstoppable. As a producer, guitar player, he's unstoppable. You've really played with some great drummers, and that's just really cool to have that. I talked to Tony Franklin, Norwood Fisher. He just got off stage. Woods played with some of the greatest drummers on earth. I'm not gonna say who, but I know a couple of the guys. But no, his brother, first of all, is like one of the best ever.
And you
But-
as well.
As well, and it's just amazing when the great musicians, it's a shallow pool, but we all bump into each other and we're swimming in the same pool. And you're a great musician and you deserve great musicians around you. And it's obvious ever since you started, it's happened that way because good people attract each other. It's a magnet.
Yeah,
You know?
what, dude? I honestly, somebody asked me this today because they were talking about same thing, like some of the people that I played with.
Yeah.
I mean, just the guitar players too. It's like Bruce Bouillet in the Scream. Then I follow it up with Mick Mars. Then I follow that up with Bruce Kulick from Kiss.
Yeah.
And then, Richard Fortas, Doug Aldridge. Like, it's just like, holy shit. I've been very, very blessed. The bass players, Juan Alderetti, Marco Mendoza, you know what I mean? Now Michael Devin. I really kind of pinch myself once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We got to do a song. You were talking about Grand Funk. Mel Shocker lives. I see Mel a lot up here. We got to do a song with Mel. That'd be a blast.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, like, again, I'm not just, and this will answer Steven's question as well, or statement. It's just, I love listening to not just the song, but what's happening in the song. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love listening to little subtle things the drummer's doing.
Yeah.
Or like, to me, Mel is so underrated and not appreciated. I sit here, one of my favorite records is Grand Funk. It's Caught in the Act. It's a live record they did in like 74.
Yep.
And the drum tones and the bass tones on that record, Mark's guitar, his playing is great, but the guitar sounds a little processed. I just like a Les Paul through a Marshall amp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No stuff on it. But Mel is doing some stuff in Black Licorice and PNUC that I just sit there and I go, holy shit, like he's on fire.
Yeah,
He's still
we
got
opened
it,
for him. I was
too.
in the house band at the Whiskey back in those days, and we opened for those guys, and it was crazy. I mean, those bands that were going on in those days, and no cell phones and parties afterwards all over. It was like a crazy time. I'll never forget.
What
that.
what year was that,
Mel and
Scott?
I think I was 70. I did that from, I think 70, 72, 73, 74, something like in that range,
Wow.
someplace in there, right? 70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
Might
Wow.
have been
And
a
they
little
were
bit
young.
earlier, actually. Might have been. Actually, no, I take that back. It was actually a little bit earlier. It was like 70, because it was
Stop there.
when it was that period of I don't know, something right in that. I can't remember. but in that
You were
period.
in high school.
This cat, Scott Page, played with Seals and Croft.
Ooh,
Who did what?
Jimmy Seals, yeah, Seals and Croft. You know?
Scotty played with Pink Floyd, Toto, Supertramp,
Yeah,
Seals
yeah.
and Croft.
Duran
think-
Duran.
Duran.
Duran,
Chuck
that's
Berry.
right.
And James Brown, man. I'll never forget my James Brown time. That was a trip playing for
Hey,
James
what did,
Brown.
what did this mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was his
Fine.
thing.
Yep.
You know what?
$5.
We're almost
yeah.
we're almost out of time,
Dash.
you guys. I mean, we're literally in the last minute of the show. We have a question from someone that's like watching online about Gene Simmons' Dr. Love jokes when you were out on the road with those guys on sharing the stage. Any response?
Gene was that was so surreal. I'm sitting there, I'm in the dressing room with the Dead Daisies, and Gene Simmons walks in. He's like 9 feet tall,
Big guy.
got the whole gimmick on, and I'm sitting there looking at him, and I immediately revert back to the kid that was like 14 buying tickets at the Spectrum in Philly. And he's got the makeup on, he's like, and he goes, John Corabi, how do you know Jesus Christ was a Jew? And I go, I don't know. He goes, I'll tell you. He lived with his mother until he was 33. She thought he was a savior. He thought she was a virgin, and he went into his father's business. He was a Jew. And he just turned around and walked out. And I go, and I'm just sitting there going, this is really surreal right now.
That is awesome.
The demon just came in and told me a Jew joke.
That is awesome. I love that. On that note, I think
Oh, wait,
We
one
need-
second. 1 second, David. I know we have to go out, but let's just have John, because John, there's so many things we didn't touch on. I want to first go, when you're in town, I know our group here may be out of town, but I think we really need to get together with you, and you must play with us. You have to come in and play and sing with us. Like, you must, because we have this killer group called Think X, and so we will invite you in the right moment to do that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, just tell us a little bit about, you have an amazing book. I read it. I
Yeah.
bought it. It was it's fantastic. Tell us a
Wow.
little bit about that and about the other things you have coming up. We can forget about the gay porn, but you should hit on the other
We
ones.
can leave that part. Although Dave was asking about that earlier in our trip, so he might be a little disappointed, but that's okay.
He asked me what I was plugging right now, and I was like,
Oh,
I'm just going to give you the list. Anyway, yes, I do have a book out. It came out about, it's actually almost been a year now. So it's called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. It's basically from birth till about 2 years ago. Did that. I was also recently in that Paramount Plus docuseries, I Want to Rock. And hopefully this would explain the title of my book, because I realized when I was doing the book, editing, I read it like 20 times, and I realized that I'm the king of being at the right place, but always at the wrong time.
sounds like a song.
Which would explain Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, which would also explain the fact that Sheila and I are working on something as well called Angels and Outlaws. So I told all my friends, I signed a production deal. I got this thing. We got all the cast members together. And then Fade to Black, Hollywood went on strike. So, there you have it.
And you
Awesome.
and I started that way back in 2004 or 2000.
We've been talking
Somewhere.
about.
Right.
I've been talking about this thing since I was like 12 years old. Look
We're
at me.
gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen.
The whole small world thing, you know, like Sheila's known me since I was 18 years old. And then her booking us at the Whiskey playing with you guys, and then a
Wow.
week later, 2 weeks later, at Audible Sound. Crazy.
Kenny's my oldest son.
That's funny.
Well, listen,
I don't want
John,
that-
I mean, this has been great. Thank
Yeah,
you
boy.
for taking the time to join us.
This is fun, dude. I'm still trying to figure out what the guy in green does. He hasn't said a word.
Listen very well, you know. But you know, we gotta.
You're put together well, though, brother.
We gotta.
You're put
I
together
just
well.
got off stage, but we can, you know.
Norwood's recovering. He's sort of in post-recovery, almost sleep mode, and it's like it's like between dusk and dawn. You know, it's
I
that
didn't want to wake him.
moment.
I'm like, oh, he looks.
I don't know.
You never have to worry about him because I mean, nor we call him the hibernator because
Yeah.
no matter where we are, you could be any place. You look over, there's Norwood sleeping. He sleeps all the time.
But
Jumps up
Norwood,
At the right time.
Right at the
But
right time.
Norwood
At the
is-
right time.
I can.
Norwood has united so many people
Yes.
Yep.
through his
Norwood's our
amazing musical
conductor.
career and the people that he played with.
That's
Nor-
how we all
Norwood is
got
like-
together
he
through
is a-
Norwood.
So
I'm
yeah,
up here
he's the
at
one-
level on it,
yeah.
way up here.
right.
He's
Right,
the reason.
everybody-
He's the reason.
Wait, everybody here was connected through Norwood. And
Yeah.
Norwood literally just got off a stage. That's Norwood Fisher of Fishbone. And just we're with the Parliament Funk in Charlotte, right?
I actually, I think, I don't know how long ago it was, but Fishbone actually played a unannounced gig at the Cat Club when Slim Jim Phantom owned it
Oh yeah.
on a Sunday night, and it was awesome. So I knew it. I was just giving him shit for not saying anything.
Well, listen, you guys, I've got to run. We've got to go. We thank you
Thank you.
and everyone check out the Dead Daisies for their tour and where they're going to be. And don't go away just yet. Stick with us. Anything that anyone wants to say before I run the
Happy
the close?
birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday to David Moss.
John,
Happy
And I just
birthday. Thank you guys for the invite, but I do have to go and rinse this nail off my balls. It's starting to
On that note, here we go.
See you next time on the Rock and Talk Show Beyond Backstage with your hosts Norwood Fisher, Kenny Olson, Scott Page, Stephen Perkins, Sheila Conlon, and David Moss. Executive producers Sheila Conlon and David Moss. Producer and director Eric Lloyd. Assistant producer and creative director Mark Armentano. Editor Graham Cooper. Theme music by ThinkX. Powered by JBL and AKG. Artist Relations TPI Films. Special thanks to From the Earth, ThinkX, The Conlon Company, and Mac. Check us out on YouTube/The Rock and Talk Show, Facebook and Instagram at The Rock and Talk Show.
And until our next show, thanks everyone. We'll see you soon.